We are now recording on all platforms.
Yo, Josh, are you still doing your push-ups?
Normally now I'm just doing like pull-ups and chin-ups instead in the morning. And then
Where?
at nighttime I'm sort of slacking a little bit.
Where?
At the playground nearby.
That's pretty dope. Toronto's finally entering phase 3 on Friday.
Hey, all right.
Gyms
Some playgrounds open. Get a workouts in.
I tried to book my Good Life time, and for some reason my account won't let me.
Do you really want to go to the gym though?
Yeah, dude. Just gonna wear a mask.
I guess.
I'm
Make
just gonna
sure
wear
you
a
like
mask and
clean
stay
everything
away.
3 times before you use it.
Oh, I just gotta stay away from people and wash my hands.
I don't know, man. I would wash the machines a couple times before I even use them.
Really? I do it like once. I'm not gonna do it multiple times. Sanitizer, dude. Are you washing your hands like 4 times before you eat? No? What's the difference?
I guess. I'm assuming you're not wearing a mask when you're in there. Are you?
I probably will.
You should.
Yeah, I ain't no bitch. I can be like Zion. What's up, everybody, and welcome back to the Stretch 4 podcast. I'm your host, Peter Tran, and on the line, I got my pick and pop partner, Josh Cohen. How you doing?
Oh, we finally made it.
We're there, man. It's happening today. Can you believe it?
I'm very, very excited.
How long is your pregame going to be? You want to go tailgate somewhere and watch it from a parking lot?
Yeah, we can do a socially distanced tailgate from maybe like a Zoom meeting or something.
Oh, the banger in the paint. Rajan Walia. How you feeling, man? How amped up are you?
Like, this is another level. If you ask me, NBA, the best day of the year is Christmas, but this tops it by far. Just basketball nonstop for the next, 10 days, and then we go into playoffs. So, what a time to be alive.
Yo, Raj, are bars open in Montreal now?
Yeah, the bars have been open. It's been like a good 20 days since it's been open.
You trying to go to St. Louis and get some wings, have a couple of beers?
I wish they had St. Louis here. But no, I'm going to watch the games at home, but I might crack open a few cold ones.
Ooh, okay. Now, what if I offered you the best hot wings in the city? You got lemon pepper flavor. All you gotta do is just, go to Le Sex.
If there's NBA on, I'm definitely going to be there. Otherwise, I'm all about hot honey, Peter. You should know that.
Oh my goodness. How scandalous is this guy? Jesus.
Lemon pepper's overrated.
Wow, that's a hot take. Yeah. How good do chicken wings have to be for you to eat at a strip club like Lou Will?
And go into a 10-day quarantine. I mean, that picture looked fucking amazing, right? But to be in a room for 10 straight days because I ate 2 pounds of wings like that? Nah, I'm good. Maybe like a 2-day quarantine. Like, how many days would you guys do? Like, how many days up to would you guys do, like, in order to eat those beautiful, beautiful wings?
I would do I'd say like 2 or 3. But if it's like my favorite foods, like if it's like the best pizza in the world or like the best fried chicken, I'd do like 6, 7.
Ooh, no, you wouldn't. No.
If it's named after me, of course you would. You gotta rep. You gotta show love.
You would stay in a small hotel room for 2 pounds of wings? I don't know, man.
Not chicken wings, man. Fried chicken. There's a difference.
Sure, fried chicken.
Yeah. And then you gotta make sure that there's no stupid rappers in there trying to snitch you out.
What was that guy's name again? Apparently he's huge.
Harlow.
Yeah, Jack Harlow. He's a big Atlanta guy.
Luke Harlow.
Jack. Yo, relax. This guy's butchering people's names already. Come on, man. Should know better. Would you do it for... Oh, man. I don't even know how to, what is worth a 10-day quarantine in your mind?
In terms of
Food-wise
food?
or life-wise? Yeah.
Just anything. Just not food, because I highly doubt that any of us would do 10 days for any type of food. But just life-wise, how much money would they have to offer you?
Yeah, I was
do
going to
10
say
days?
monetary value. For 6 days or 10 days.
What if it was like 25 G's tax-free, just cash money?
Yeah, I'd do it.
Sure, for a 10-day quarantine, why not?
All right, what about
Where's the
10
quarantine,
days?
though?
What do you mean?
Like, we have to do it in some random room, or is it actually at Disney?
Well, it doesn't. Why would it matter if it's at Disney? You can't get out.
You're still in a room.
What are you talking about?
Serving you, right? I'm talking about like just staying like in some random bathroom, which some people have bet on before.
No.
I heard about these like gamblers who bet on, one of their buddies couldn't stay in a washroom for like a week straight. So if it's like that, it's a little bit different.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's like Haralabob shit.
Yeah, it was one of his buddies actually. I heard the story from like a guy connected to him.
That's wild. No, I'm thinking like a generic hotel. But yeah, you can get room service. Room service
Sign
at a
me up
hotel.
for $2,500.
You do 10 days for $2,500?
Yeah, like, think about it. How much were Lou Will's wings? Like, max. If these are, like, the best wings in the world, it's $100. So this guy literally took a 10-day quarantine, pretty much paying $10 per day to eat wings. If someone's paying me $2,500, I'm sitting in there, chilling. I have NBA to watch. I have enough Netflix. Crank up some HBO. I'm good.
Ooh. I mean, it's a good point, but... Yeah, 2,500 doesn't seem like that much, man. I need at least 10 G's. Give me $1,000 a day.
Yeah, agreed. I think I need more than that.
Yeah, Raj, you're selling yourself out too cheap, man. You gotta value yourself more and value your time.
Well, then again, like doing nothing for 10 days and getting paid for it sounds pretty good to me at the same time. So I don't know.
You want to put a thinking hat on? What is this?
I think I was offered that like maybe $3,000. I think I might do it.
You went from $10,000 to $3,000. It didn't take much, did it?
No, not really. I mean,
$300
as long as the NBA's on, I'm good.
Yeah, but
They're starting the quarantine like on Saturday.
Yeah,
I'm good to go.
but it was the last few days too, though. You know.
Yeah, it'd be tough then.
And you gotta miss playing games. How about that? And all your teammates are either calling you like, the GOAT or a jerk. One or the other. You're gonna get.
I think on that note, I think his teammates think that he's selfish, right? Like he almost ruined the bubble to get some wings.
That's true, but the other hand is, have you heard how good these wings are?
I mean, there's apps for that, right? Couldn't he have just gotten that ordered?
Yeah, I guess. Then he could have got Rashawn Holmes.
Well, there's no limit when you're outside the bubble, right?
You can get
Just
two
get one of
big
his
for
family
him.
members to get it. Like, what is he doing?
Should have just not gotten a picture. He was like posing for it too. That was the worst part. You can't throw up deuces while you're breaking quarantine.
Without the mask.
Yeah, he's trying to flex on the NBA. They can't allow that.
The whole story doesn't add up either. If he's just going there to pick up wings, then how did he meet up with this rapper who's clearly inside the club?
No, I think it's he went in to grab a bite. And then saw this dude. This dude comes over and was like, "Hey, Lou Will," dapped him up, and then snapped a picture real quick. Lou Will is responsible.
Do you think Lou Will was dining in?
Oh, he must have been. But he was waiting for the food to come out before taking off his mask. He's responsible like that.
What a wild story.
Honestly, now, like, for anyone to have real fair judgment, someone has to try the wings before they can actually make a story about this. Like, to see if they're really worth it, because I know food is food, but we all know that there's some meals that you just have to go all out for.
Yeah, like Popeye's chicken. And then let's actually start talking about the NBA. Yo, it's back. We've had 7 days of scrimmages. And to be honest, they haven't actually looked that bad. There's been no defense played whatsoever. Like, not a lick of defense has been played. But the offense is moving. These guys actually look like they're in pretty good shape compared to what we were expecting. Because I remember talking to you guys like, man, these guys are going to come out fat. Half of them don't have equipment at their homes. The other half can't train properly because they're not with their trainers or with the teams and whatever. But more than half of these guys look like they're in almost like game shape. Not actual game shape because, there's nothing to really compare to the pace of an NBA game. But it's pretty damn close, right, Raj? Like, I'm expecting these guys to come out pretty full throttle at this point.
Yeah, I think one thing that probably helped with the quarantine is, like, these NBA players usually have, like, 2 or 3 months in the off season to adjust, rest their bodies, and then they come into preseason and warm up, and it takes them time to get into shape. But because of COVID, these players have been really inactive for 4 months, but there's nothing else to do. It's not like they're going on vacation with their families or they're going to a bunch of events in LA or traveling. Like, you're pretty much isolated. You could rest and spend time with the family, but that's only fun for like 4 or 5 weeks. After a certain amount of time, you want to get back to your routine. So I'm sure these guys have been putting up shots, getting some work in the gym, getting into better cardio. And I think it shows with certain players really looking almost as if they've gotten into better physical shape. Maybe they're a bit rusty in their basketball technicalities and their instincts. But like, I think some players have just come out of the gates firing. And I know we talked about a few players that are big players. And I look at Nurkic, like, I think he's looked better than anyone has expected him to be. I think there's a lot of players that have upped their game. Jokic looks a little more nimble. Obviously, there's players like Bull. So people are coming out ready to ball, and there's nothing else to distract them in the bubble.
You know, and going through some of the stats today, I found some stats from ESPN.com. And the scrimmages, it was actually a better quality of basketball versus the preseason. So in the preseason, they had an overall offensive rating across the league of 99.8. And the scrimmages was 102.9. Regular season, it's 107.9, which is obviously a big jump, but it's going to take them a while to get there, obviously, with the layoff. But overall, like in terms of shooting, in terms of the turnovers, just the quality of play, the fact that the scrimmages were better than preseason, where they had a training camp before that, and they had a bit of a training camp going into this too, but it wasn't really the same, where you didn't have like 2 to 3 weeks really of basketball where these guys were together all the time and being able to go to the gym whenever they wanted in the preseason, whereas now it's more regimented. You have to be in at a certain time and be out at a certain time. Like, I was watching one of the scrimmage games, I think it was 2 days ago, and the players couldn't practice on the main court that they were going to play on because that court had to be disinfected. And they had to go to a different gym and then go into the bus and then travel back over to that gym they were playing in that night. So, the regiment's going to be like way off. It's not going to be a situation like you hear before the game sometimes with like JJ Redick and Ray Allen, where they get in like 3 hours beforehand and practice for 2 hours. It's not going to be like that anymore. So the fact that the scrimmages had a better overall net result than the preseason, I think is a good sign going into the regular season.
Wouldn't you expect that to be the case, though? Because with preseason, it's a lot of guys who are still trying to prove themselves. A lot of younger players got a lot of run. But
have you been watching the scrimmages?
Yeah, no, dude, half the scrimmages are legitimate starters until like the end of the third quarter.
They play the same second and third stringers in the second quarter too, though. So I think it's not half the game that these guys are playing, but in a lot of games it's pretty close.
Yeah, I think it's significantly less, and the stakes are much higher, right? Because preseason, the whole point is just for guys to get a feel with each other, and for, like I said, for a lot of smaller names to make a name, to establish a position for themselves on the team. But now it's everyone knows what the deal is on each team, other than the Brooklyn Nets and the Washington Wizards. Who cares about them? But every other team's roster is well established. There aren't guys who are fighting for position anymore. It's more of just getting back into the flow of things, getting your team chemistry back together, even learning new plays. Apparently, Nick Nurse has like 40 defensive schemes that he's going to pull out this year, as opposed to other coaches. But you know what I mean? It's more of refining what you previously had rather than trying to establish something new.
Yeah, and I think the biggest change too, regarding like the first and second halves of these games, is you can see the players getting tired, especially come towards like the latter part of the third quarter. The foul rate is way up in the second half of games, which is to be expected, I guess, since guys are more tired and they're reaching more and not trying to play with their feet because they're still trying to get back in cardio shape. So hopefully come, tomorrow when the first two games happen, these guys are ready to go and the games aren't sloppy. Because most of the games that I've watched so far, besides like part of a Brooklyn game, which was just deplorable, have been like pretty well played.
Yeah, why did you watch a Brooklyn game?
I just wanted to see what they look like. And I want to see who was starting too. I want to see Jamal Crawford's going to play, and he didn't. So it's pretty disappointing.
I don't think he's played at all in the scrimmages.
I don't know why. Like, he's one of the guys that needs to get the time in to get his body right, I would guess. Then again, he's always in shape, so.
Jamal Crawford is always in ball shape.
True.
That dude has been playing for the past year, just waiting for this.
Yeah,
Come
I
on.
feel like he's like Andre Miller, but he actually looks like he's in shape. Whereas Andre Miller just never worked out. I don't think Jamal Crawford works out either, but Crawford always looks like he's in shape.
No, I think Jamal Crawford, I remember hearing a story, and I think he was in like his 10th or 11th year. And he said that was the first time that he actually worked out during the off season. Otherwise, he just plays like pro-am games or like pickup games at the Y and like LA Fitness and stuff.
Yeah, sounds like Andre Miller to me.
Imagine just being at your local Y and Jamal Crawford rolls up on you. How wild would that be?
Man, I would not want to play against him.
Yeah, I'd tape up my ankles so fast. Dude, you're gonna
But if
break
he was
my
on a
legs
fast break
anyways.
against me, I would have that move that he does where he goes behind his back.
Woo.
I would have that like down. I would know exactly where to stand to steal the ball. I know what's coming, you know?
And he's just gonna throw up an alley-oop for somebody else instead. The one time he doesn't do it selfishly.
Yeah. Oh man.
Yeah,
That move has to be the sickest move in the history of the NBA.
it looks so cool. How many
Like, what
times
move is better to watch than that one?
as like a signature move? Ooh.
Yeah. Like, what can top that? I don't know.
He
Like,
does
the
it
first time I
with
saw that when he did that, I think it was Kirk Heinrich. I was like, what did I just... That must have been a travel or something, and it wasn't. It was confusing.
He does it with such ease. Like Jamal Crawford has like crazy basketball IQ, and his technical skills are just amazing. Not the strongest guy, not the fastest guy, but definitely the smartest, or one of the smartest on the court, and being able to play his game.
What about the Jordan fadeaway? That's a pretty cool looking shot. Established like a full generation of players after himself.
I mean, yeah, it's pretty awesome, but the fact that Crawford only brings this move out once every few years, it's like when you see it, it's so rare, you know? It's like back when we were playing Pokemon, when you got like one of those primo cards when you went to the convenience store.
You just found so Jamal Crawford going behind his back with the hop step is finding a Charizard in your basic
Yes, I was about to say that, a Charizard card, absolutely.
pack. Man, okay.
Podcast has gone off the rails.
I am
comparing
so
Jamal
happy.
Crawford's behind the back move to Charizard.
That's okay. What would does that mean? Jordan's fadeaway is Pikachu?
Yeah, I guess so.
That's pretty sad for
Who's
Jordan.
Ash?
Adam Silver.
Who's at? Yeah, Adam Silver.
I guess so, yeah.
Professor Oak is David Stern. Come on, man. Who's Misty? That's a real question. Rachel Nichols? No?
It's the orange hair. I'm excited. I just want to talk about a few teams. I know we've talked a lot about which teams are going to come out of the gate firing, which teams are going to come out slow, which teams are going to like make it in the playoffs. So like right before the regular season resumes for these 8 games, I want to hear it now. In the West, who are the 8-9 teams and who advances to the playoffs?
I mean, I guess the obvious contenders are between obviously the 3, right? Between Portland, Memphis, and New Orleans.
Yeah.
New Orleans looks like Zion Williamson is back. The whole reason that the NBA extended it to this many teams is for Zion to come back and play to get that money. So I'm still gonna say Portland, even though I had Memphis at the beginning of all this. Yo, this team is so good with Nurkic right now. Holy, that guy looks so spry. Raj, you brought it up earlier. He looks thinner than he ever has, and he looks faster than he ever has. And he's a significantly better defender than Hassan Whiteside. I was watching scrimmages against Toronto, and Carmelo Anthony was telling Hassan Whiteside where to go on defense. Case closed on hating on Hassan Whiteside. You guys can talk about the other teams, though. That's cool.
No, I want to talk about Portland too, because that game was by far the most entertaining game out of all the scrimmages that I watched, especially the first half. Because once Whiteside left the game and Nurkic came back in, Nurkic and Serge started beefing, and Nurkic had like 5 straight possessions where he completely owned Serge Ibaka.
That's right.
Completely shocked.
That's right.
Oh my god! Like he was going at him, and he was stopping Serge. Except for one possession where Serge hit a 3. He's stopping Serge basically in every possession that Serge got the ball. And the Portland bench was going crazy. And Portland went on like some massive run. It was like a 15-4 run. So after I saw that, I'm like, okay, Nurk is definitely back. But again, the problem with Portland is you have to play Melo the 3, which is just not going to work.
Not a problem. Raj, real question for you. If you put Yusuf Nurkic and Serge Ibaka in a ring, who would come out on top?
I'm going to have to go with Yusuf Nurkic. I think just where he's from and the fact that he was a bigger body. Like I think Serge is a tough guy and he definitely has his own edge about him, but I think Nurkic is just like a bear. Like you just don't want to fight a bear.
See, on that note, I don't think they would end up fighting. I think Serge would just be like, "How hungry are you?" And then they go eat like cow's peanuts or something.
I mean, I guess, sure, if that's how you want to look at it. I was going to say Serge wouldn't be able to connect on a punch.
That's a low blow.
He has a bad history, man. He does art. He's not a fighter.
I don't dress. I do art.
And scarves.
Exactly. Raj, who do you have at 8 and 9?
So I have the regular season ending Memphis, Portland. I do think Portland's going to win in that like playoff scenario to play in, and I think that would be a hell of a matchup with Portland and the Lakers. Like I feel the Lakers would be actually afraid. That'd probably be like the second worst team they'd want to play in the West.
Why is there no love for New Orleans? Brandon Ingram, Lonzo Ball, JJ Redick, Zion. I mean, the team is pretty strong, and they were incredible coming out of the All-Star break, right? Why no love?
Honestly, I think they're going to make it. I think that they're going to be the 9th seed overall because they have the easiest schedule, I think, remaining, right? I think it's them and then Philadelphia. So, I mean, if they get the 9th seed, they've already, I think they beat Memphis 4 straight times this season, too. So if they're able to match up with them on the 8-9, I think it's pretty obvious that New Orleans is going to be the team. But I think that Portland is definitely a bigger threat to the Lakers than New Orleans is.
Raj, are you not a believer?
No, I think the Pelicans, for all the promise they have going forward, I think in 8 games, I don't know if their team will click, especially because they have so many role players. And obviously they're a young team, so I'm not as worried about them playing themselves into shape. But I think when it comes down to experience and having veterans and knowing your role, I think if New Orleans loses 2 or 3 games, I think that might be the difference between them and Portland for that 9th seed, because I don't think anyone's catching Memphis in terms of the standings, and it's going to come down to half a game or 1 game, and I just think New Orleans doesn't have that experience.
Oh, man, you're crazy. Look at the schedule. Utah, Clippers, Memphis, that's a huge game, obviously. Sacramento, Washington, San Antonio, Sacramento, Orlando. New Orleans is going to be the 9th seed.
Wow. Yo, the NBA really drew that one up for Zion.
Well, that was their schedule going into the break, right? So they just got lucky that, it ended at that point.
That was their schedule to end the season?
Well, besides, like, the crappy teams that were not invited to the bubble, right? I think that was the way it lined up.
Oh. Well, then the NBA definitely drew that up for Zion since he was hurt at the beginning of the year.
There you go.
Wow. Man, no love for this Ja Morant and Brandon Clark combination, eh?
Oh, man. Ja Morant looks fucking amazing right now. Oh, my goodness.
Okay, out of these 3 point guards, rank them in order of athleticism in their prime. Obviously putting Ja right now. Ja, Derrick Rose, and Russell Westbrook. Who do you have as your, most athletic to least athletic?
I would go Rose, Westbrook, Morant. Just the way that Rose can contort himself in the air. I don't think either one of the other guys can do that yet. I think Morant has shown signs of being able to do that. But some of the ways like Rose was able to, he had like a violent contortion of his body a lot of the times. And he'd jump 45 inches in the air, and then all of a sudden he'd be on the opposite side of the rim somehow. Whereas Westbrook just goes through people. And Morant has shown both sides, I think, but Rose is, I don't know how he does it. Like, the way he moves his body was just unreal.
He still does now, just without knees.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not as aesthetically pleasing to watch.
Raj, who do you think is the most clutch out of those 3, so to speak?
I think Derrick Rose in his prime obviously was very clutch player, and he could get his shot, and I would say Westbrook is the least clutch, that's for sure. So
thank you.
Yeah, I'm gonna say Derrick Rose because in his prime, he'd get his shot and he'd get to the rim and finish at the rim like not many point guards ever have.
Yeah, young Derrick Rose is a beast. If you haven't seen young Derrick Rose, you gotta do some work, man, because that guy was incredible. Who have we been the most impressed by during this week of scrimmages? Whether it be like a player or like a whole team, Raj, like who really stood out to you and you were like, damn, other than Portland, we already talked enough about Portland. Give me someone fresh.
Yeah, so I think obviously I'm going to take this one away from Josh, but I think the Raptors look good. And I think the fact that we've heard a lot of rumblings like this team is focused, they want to prove a point, and there's just a lot of things that could have not went the Raptors' way this season. Obviously, their injuries, and then COVID was for the entire league, but no one's really treating them like serious contenders, and they've played very well. Like obviously, they lost against Phoenix recently, but they beat Houston, they beat Utah, and they beat Portland, all teams that are obviously in the playoff hunt. And more importantly, some of the players on the team, like I know Josh was salivating over OG's game and his improvement. So the Raptors and the continuity they have, I think that was just impressive to see.
Yeah, and I watched that full game against the Rockets, and Nick Nurse is just an absolute genius. Like some of the stuff he thinks up is just like incredible. Even like in a scrimmage, like the way he thought through the offense, just having like he's basically forced either PJ Tucker or Covington or both to be near the 3-point line, guarding the perimeter, so the Raptors could just destroy the basket because Westbrook and Harden just had no chance down there against guys like Siakam, and Serge went like 8 for 13 that game, I think. But yeah, on that note, I think the person that has impressed me the most is OG Anunoby, and the fact that while in his condo in Toronto, he somehow learned how to dribble like an NBA player. It's very confusing.
Maybe he's just been saving it all year. He was playing possum.
Just going to bring it out for the playoffs. Because he had a pretty good playoffs his first year going against LeBron. And obviously in the first round, too, he shot pretty well. So, I mean, if he's able to add a dribble drive game and be like a secondary ball handler, I have to change my pick from the Sixers to the Raptors.
Oh, how dare you? With Ben Simmons shooting threes now? And the new lineup 76ers?
Oof.
The disrespect. How could you?
I'm not gonna go off that pick yet, though.
How long is it gonna take?
Let me tell you, Malik Benjamin Milton, that guy's legit.
Malik. Someone listened to Jackie McMullen today.
I did.
Oh, that's pretty funny. I'll give you that. I'm happy with it. You don't want to talk about the Ish Smith-led Washington Wizards? Or the Rui Hachimura Wizards? No?
Hey.
I've had my Isaac Bonga fill. I think I'm good.
I'm going to point this out because someone has to. Rui is going to be the third best rookie in this class of rookies. He will be better than RJ Barrett. He will, I think, impact-wise, be just as effective as Zion. Not in terms of publicity. And I think him, Ja, and Zion are going to be the best picks of this draft.
Based off of what?
Whoa!
Now that is a scorching take. Jesus.
Yeah. I love his game.
Wow.
I love his size. I like the way he plays. He has an all-around game on both the offensive and defensive side. He's not a specialist in anything yet. He's going to get plenty of opportunity in Washington. They have no one really to fit that position. They're very guard-heavy with Beal and Wall obviously coming back from his terrible injury. They have Davis Bertans, who wants to get nowhere near the rim. So he's going to have a lot of room to work. He's going to get some tough defensive assignments, and he's shown, like in his limited time in the NBA, that he can play against some of the better players, and he looks like a player that won't be injury plagued, like obviously Marvin Bagley and some of the other rookies that have experienced injuries early in their career. And I'm all for Rui. I think in 3 or 4 years, you guys will be buying into that stock.
He's literally a slightly faster version of LaMarcus Aldridge without the shot.
He's way more athletic. He has more explosion. His first step is better. And I think he can guard, like, ideally 3 and 4, but he can guard 2 to 4 pretty well. And I think he can lock down one of your top 2 offensive weapons. Like, I think if you put him on Kawhi, I think he's a good matchup. He's not going to shut him down, but I think he's a good matchup.
Wow.
I think you're getting ahead of yourself here. I don't think Rui's shown anything on the defensive end this year. So, like, the idea of Rui is good, right? Like, he's very big for his size in terms of his position, just in terms of being like a 3-4. So against a lot of threes, like, he is bigger, in terms, he's beefier than them, so he can push them off the ball a little bit. But I don't know if he has that mean streak. Like, I don't know if I've seen that yet from him. I'm not sure if he's tough enough to be one of the better players in the NBA. Skill-wise, though, I can definitely see it. I think he might eventually be like a really good offensive player, but defensively, he's got a long way to go.
Okay, I'm struggling to name 3 players in this draft class that are going to have better careers than him. 3, like, obviously Zion and Ja, I'll give you that. Like, this year they've shown a lot and they've had plenty of opportunities. Name 3 other players.
Terrence
Or
Davis.
Oh my God.
Terrence Davis is nice. Watch yourself.
Yeah, he's a good player, but I don't think he's at Rui's impact level yet.
Okay, who's had a better year this year? Terrence Davis or Rui Hachimura?
TD Bank has
Hachimura.
definitely had a better year. Sorry, Raj. Rui's had a good year, but it hasn't been like it's nothing stellar. He might make
The games don't even matter anyway. Like, Terrence Davis is playing important minutes for a playoff team.
Yeah,
No,
I don't know.
all
I don't buy this. I'd say
right,
Brandon Clark has had a better year.
Injuries.
To who?
Brandon Clark, he's had a lot of injuries this year.
Rui was out too. Come on.
Yeah, because he got kicked in the fucking groin.
Shouldn't have been there.
Yeah, give me Brandon Clark over him too. And you could argue like Tyler Hero. You could argue Matisse Thybulle. There's some guys out there.
All right, you know what? In a year, I'll remember this, and you guys will be like, "Oh my God, Raj, you were so right." But you know what?
Oh man, that's wild. That's a wild take. Yo, Josh, do you think Luka and KP can do anything in the West? And by anything, I mean, how far can those two really take a team? Like, can we expect to see them in the second round?
I mean, it all depends on matchups, right? I think one of the most under-talked things going into this restart is how the teams are going to react in the last 1 or 2 games of, the seeding games, right? Because since home court doesn't really matter, it's all about matchups. It doesn't really matter if you're not going to Milwaukee anymore to play against that team in that environment where they've only lost 2 games, right? You're not going to Philadelphia where they only lost 2 games. So it's all about matchups in that case. And I think the one matchup they don't want, obviously, is the Clippers, because the Clippers just destroyed them in a very important game for them, in a big test game where Luka had like 7 turnovers and he didn't shoot the ball well, obviously. So I think if they can avoid the Clippers and get out of the 7th seed, I think they can beat any of the other teams. It just depends on, if they can get hot, because defensively they're okay. But offensively, they're obviously the best team of all time right now, statistically. And KP looks really good. Like, he's actually making post moves now in the scrimmages. I saw him go against Al Horford, and he actually looked pretty good. Whereas, like, the rest of the season, he was getting, like, pushed out by Marcus Smart and these, like, small guards, Lowry. And he couldn't score against them, but he looked pretty good so far in the scrimmages.
Maybe Al Horford's bum isn't big enough.
I don't know. Al Horford's a big boy.
Yeah, but is his ass big enough, though? That's a question.
He's got some cushion.
I mean, a lot of their offense is, obviously there's a lot of pick and roll and pick and pop, but it's more than just, like, Luka going one-on-one and stepping back, right? Like, he distributes and makes guys like Tim Hardaway and Dorian Finney-Smith look like solid shooters outside. And Seth Curry might actually, I don't want to say this as like a crazy hot take, but he's pretty damn close to being as good of a shooter as Steph. Like, his shooting is being lights out since like the All-Star break. Dude, he's shooting like 45% from the 3.
He's been really good this year, but he's also getting a ton of spot-up looks from Luka. He's not shooting the same shots as Curry.
I didn't say that he's taking the same shots. I'm just saying his shooting has been almost as good as Steph. It's like Steph light.
I'll take that.
Yeah.
I mean, Seth has been really good.
Yeah, how can you slander Seth Curry? Come on, man. How dare you?
I love Seth Curry, man. Like, he was great last year, too.
In
That was
Portland?
one of the best contracts signed in the offseason.
What is he worth? Or what was his value this?
I think he got
this
4
offseason?
years, 32.
That's it?
Yeah, I think Kleba also got the same thing too, and he's been really good for the Mavericks this year.
Wow, that's actually nothing. Yeah, you're right. Seth, he's only making 7.4 this year.
Yeah, there you go.
Gradually gets better, but damn, man, Dallas got some good contracts.
Yeah, and Seth is like a dog on defense too. Like he tries really hard, and he's actually pretty strong too. He's not like Lowry strong, but overall he's pretty solid on defense.
Yeah. Are we going to see a lot of DeLon Wright in the playoffs this year?
No, he still can't shoot.
He can defend though.
He's a good defensive player, but I don't know. In the playoffs, you need to have that shooting on the court. I think Tim Hardaway is going to get like 30 to 35 minutes a game. Seth Curry's going to play a lot, obviously.
How would this team fare against, I guess, like a Houston, for example, like another smaller team? Because realistically, without Porzingis, Dallas isn't exactly that big, right? Like they have big guys like Marjanovic, but he's not going to play in the playoffs. A lot of their depth is just on the wing.
Yeah, I think you're going to see a lot of Maxi Kleba and Porzingis together in certain matchups. And when Porzingis is not playing, it's going to be all Kleba at the 5. Then you have Finney Smith at the 4. So they're going to play a lot of small ball. And I think again they can definitely beat Houston. I think they can beat OKC because OKC has such a small backcourt, and Luka will be able to take advantage of most of those guys, except for maybe I guess Chris Paul could be a decent matchup. But I guess you don't really want Paul on Luka the entire game because that's going to tire him out. But yeah, I think they can beat OKC, Houston, Denver. I don't think they'll beat Denver, but it'll be a long series.
No, sir. Unless Seth Curry catches fire. Seth Curry's going to have to go Portland last year to beat Denver. Which he might. Let's be real, he might.
Again, you got like Jokic guarding the pick and roll every single play, too. That's not a good thing for Denver.
It's a pick and pop, though. It's not a pick and roll. Who's rolling?
Well, Porzingis has rolled a lot more since, Powell's been out. And then you got Kleba, who does a bit of both as well. I mean, mostly they pop, obviously, but that's going to be worse for Jokic having to run out to the three-point line and try to, close out on people. That's even worse for him.
It doesn't matter. He's a point guard these days. You just leave him on Dorian Finney-Smith. Exactly. Just leave him out there hanging in the corner, play some zone, and you're good.
Yeah, I sort of hope that I don't want to say this, obviously, but if Denver does play Houston, I sort of hope that the Denver's backcourt sits out for whatever reason, so we can actually see that big lineup go against Houston's small lineup.
Just for like 5 minutes.
Yeah. Put Paul shooting guard again.
Yeah, that'd be sick. Who was their 3? Jeremy Grant?
Grant? Yeah.
That's great. That's awesome, man. Imagine Bull posting up like Russell Westbrook. He gets a ball literally in the restricted area. He's like, nah, I'm good.
You know what he looks like? He looks like KD. If you're watching KD highlights, and then you switch the speed to like 75 speed instead of like a full 100 speed, that's what he looks like.
A slower, longer version of KD is what you're telling me.
Basically, like he's done some of his like pull-up work at the free throw line. I'm like, I didn't know he could do this. And that pull-up that he had after he blocked the shot, it's like, where did that come from? Epic. It looked wild.
Yeah, I don't think anyone's seen that from Bull. Definitely not Denver fans. He didn't play all year.
No.
He literally didn't touch the floor all year. He's been injured, so it's kind of nice. Raj,
and the last 2 drafts, you got Michael Porter Jr. and Bull.
Yeah. Raj, man, as our medical expert here, can you please just go into this Michael Porter Jr. thing? Like, this dude's telling us that coronavirus is basically a conspiracy theory. He obviously showed up to Orlando late, probably due to some COVID-related issues. And I feel like he's hanging out with Dwight Howard too much. I'm just going to say it.
Michael Porter Jr. Okay. I don't know where to start. I think he should just focus on basketball, and if he needs to focus on any medical thing, he has to figure out what's going on with his back, because that held him out for a very long time. But overall, I think if he was COVID positive at some point and he didn't experience symptoms, it doesn't mean that he's never going to experience symptoms or other people don't. I think he's going to need to start focusing on if Bull's going to steal any minutes from him going into the playoffs.
See, I think the quarantine period and, being in this bubble, it's great for some players. Like you said, some players come in They've worked out. They've worked on their game like OG. And then some players go on YouTube and watch Alex Jones conspiracy theories, and that's what MPJ has been doing. I don't know. He needs to like get out and talk to his teammates really, and stop being on YouTube all so often.
Do you think he's a flat earther too?
Oh yeah, 100%.
Imagine him with Dwight and Kyrie all in the same room. Imagine that.
He said he's never taken a vaccine before.
Which is like impossible.
Yeah, because apparently the school he went to requires it, right? So he just admitted to lying to the school to get in, right? That's basically what he did, I'm guessing.
Yeah, pretty much,
Yeah.
man. I mean,
Yeah. Also, like, just in terms of that, like, again, you're entitled to your own opinion, but I think if you ignore the evidence and just base it off of like recency, then you're being very ignorant, and people are allowed to say that about you and pretty much question everything you say. There's good vaccines for a lot of medical conditions that were killing thousands of kids, millions of kids around the world. And without those vaccines, there'd be a lot less kids on the earth, and the population would be a lot less now. So those vaccines actually have saved a lot of people's lives. And that doesn't mean that there's not going to be a vaccine, or there is going to be one for Corona, but what he just said is so, like, I don't believe in vaccination. Like, come on, man.
boom. I just had to get it off my chest, man. It's been bugging me for the past day or two. But we can move on now that we're coming in to the first week of actual seeding games. Who do we think is going to underperform? Who's going to come out here that we have high expectations for and just going to like fully shit the bed? You know, Raj, like someone who's just going to come out there and just lay like a hard goose egg. Who can we expect that from?
I know this isn't a popular pick, but I'm going to say Dallas. Again, like I just wasn't sold on their team this year. I think they were still going to make the playoffs. I just didn't think they were going to have this successful of a season. But again, the lack of like secondary scoring to Luka and Kristaps, I think, is going to be the main issue. And they have good role players, but I still think they need a little more output from their players. And I'm looking at their schedule right now, and I don't want to say they have the worst schedule, but they don't have an easy schedule for the next 8 games. Like, especially, well, they play Phoenix twice, but they end up playing Houston, the Clippers, Milwaukee, Utah, and Portland. So there's some teams that are desperate in there, and they do play Phoenix twice and Sacramento once. So
I'm going to go with Boston. I'm going to say that they're going to get off to a slow start. They're playing Indiana first, which they're going to be favored in, obviously. But then you got Milwaukee, Portland, Miami, and then you got Brooklyn, which is a cupcake, and then Toronto. And it was reported today that Kemba Walker is only going to play 15 to 20 minutes in his first game. So I think that arthritic knee is going to be an issue going forward. And if he's not playing big minutes and you got Brad wannabe a player playing instead of him, I don't think that's going to turn out well for them.
Yo, can you lay off the kid? God damn, man.
He sucks, man. Like, get anybody else. He's
They got
so
that-
bad.
they got
Play
a person
Tremont
in
Waters.
Who?
Exactly.
Come on, man. The disrespect. You gotta relax, dude. This kid's literally done nothing to you, and you're just chirping on him that hard.
And at the same time, too, if Daniel Tice has any type of small injury, or even if he fouls a lot in one of the games and he's only playing like 15 to 20 minutes, and you're forced to play Enes Kanter or Grant Williams, longer periods of time against these like top quality teams, they're going to be in trouble. So they need to be healthy. I think if they are healthy, they're really good, obviously, and they're going to be like a really tough out in the playoffs. But as of right now, seeing what the reports are with Kemba, and they don't look very good, even though they're trying to downplay it. But just the fact that he's only going to be playing like 15 to 20 minutes in the first game is not a good sign after 4 months off.
What do you think of coaches just getting their guys some rest? Because Boston can't really do much right now, right? What's Boston's record right now? They're sitting at 3rd place. They're a good 2.5 games ahead of Miami. They're 3 behind Toronto. I mean, realistically, their seeding isn't going to really change. So wouldn't it make more sense for them to just sort of coast through these 8 games, make sure their guys are healthy in time for the playoffs? Especially for a guy like Kemba, who's never had... he's had playoff experience, but they were sweeps. You know what I mean? He's never had to go deep into the playoffs, so why not just have him rested and prepared for this?
He's had 4 months of rest.
Give him some more.
I think you want to get these guys ready so they don't have like the soft soft tissue injuries coming, going forward, as the playoffs come around. So, guys like Jaylen Brown and, Tatum are going to be playing 30-plus minutes a game in these games, I think. So the fact that, Kemba Walker's not, I think it's a really bad sign and a red flag.
I mean, I'm not going to lie, it is a little worrisome, but I don't know, Marcus Smart is a pretty good point guard. Am I pretty good?
Yeah, but again, you put him in that role, then who do you have behind him? They have depth issues, man. Like, even Hayward, he's going to be probably missing part of the second round if they make it to the second round because of him having his 15th child, so.
Hey, you can't stop the guy from having babies, Josh. Well, you
All
can,
the guy
but...
does is play games and have babies and make millions of dollars. It's not so bad.
Plays video
could
games,
be worse.
too.
That's what I'm saying.
Could be worse. You know who I'm pleasantly surprised with so far is Utah. They actually haven't looked pretty cohesive during their scrimmages. I thought there would be a little bit more of chemistry issues between Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert, and I mean, they've looked pretty smooth together. I know they don't get much pub anymore, and the team probably won't go that deep because of the lack of Bojan Bogdanovic helping on offense to carry a load. But they're not looking too bad right now. I don't want to say I'm confident, but I'm pleasantly surprised by their output.
I found it hilarious that his 3 assists to Rudy were a season high from Mitchell to Gobert throughout the course of the regular season. How is it that he's only had games where he's had 1 or 2 assists to Rudy as his high for the season? But Joe Ingles has had 6 assist games to Rudy.
Yeah, it's not great. Those two have been having chemistry issues since the beginning of the year. And, we've all heard the stories about Rudy Gobert complaining that he's not getting the ball enough, that guys aren't seeing him on the pick and roll. And, obviously Donovan Mitchell is a primary ball handler on the team, so, the subtweeting is very strong with Rudy Gobert. But doesn't mean that they haven't overperformed so far.
No, Conley has looked really good so far. He cut his hair, and I guess that's made him more aerodynamic, so props to him.
Yeah, I like it. All right, anything else, guys, before we call this?
How much basketball are we going to watch this weekend? Or per day? Because, now there's going to be, a minimum of 7 hours of basketball a day? I think I'm going to watch a good 3.5 a day.
I think on Saturday I'm going to probably watch every game. And then Sunday I'll just avoid whenever Orlando and Brooklyn's playing. But outside of that, I'll probably be watching most of the games.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie to you. The 3.5 hours was pretty standard for me before COVID. So, I mean, that's nothing new here. That's a minimum on a normal night. But with this, other than this weekend because I'm going camping, I'm going to be at least consuming 2 games a day. If they're all day, how do you say no to that, man?
The one thing that I hope, though, is a lot of the times throughout the course of the regular season when there's day games on the weekends, the games get off to a really, really bad start. So hopefully the players have adjusted by now to playing these day games versus playing at, the 7 o'clock tip times or 9 o'clock tip times.
Yeah, I heard, because they're only practicing on a limited number of floors, right? A lot of teams have been practicing at 9 a.m. So before they're getting their test, you can picture a small breakfast, but not, nothing crazy. I mean, granted, they're also sleeping at a regular time and not, at 3 a.m. or 4 a.m. like their bodies are accustomed to. But maybe, yeah, I think that we can be more optimistic with the quality of the daytime ball now. It shouldn't be nearly as bad as before.
I sort of think, too, that there's going to be a lot less injuries than people are expecting because these players don't have to leave at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning and then travel to the next city. So just being able to go, back to their hotel and go to bed and get a good night's sleep without having to travel and the inflammation buildup that causes, I think that's going to be a really good thing for these players not having these, soft tissue injuries that a lot of people have projected.
Yeah, I think the injuries are going to be they were a bit overrated. I think more or less the players are going to be fine. And you know what? We have basketball, so I'm not going to complain even if there's the 8th or 9th guys playing a bit more minutes than I'm used to. You know what? We've had basketball for we haven't had basketball for 4 months, so I can survive with watching some scrubs play 2 minutes.
Hey, I like the attitude, Raj. And on that note, I want to thank everyone for listening. Please remember to rate and subscribe on iTunes. We're on Spotify, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Podbean, all the major podcast platforms. You can hit us up on Instagram and Twitter at Stretch4Pod. And until next time, peace.